Yeah, she's gone to hospital for a scan. We don't know any further information on that, but she was conscious when she went to the hospital, so we're just waiting for results for that. Honestly, I don't know. We're just waiting for the doctor to hear. So.
And on to the game. Was that sort of a taste of what you have to do to make up to compete at the World Cup level?
Yeah, I mean, it had been really, really easy for us to just keep accepting the challenges of France and Wales in the Northern Hemisphere and doing what we got done to us today over in the Northern Hemisphere, but not really knowing where we were at. So, we've learned some lessons today about what international rugby league is about at the highest level. We'll take some learnings away from that. We'll take a lot of learnings away from that, but obviously we didn't expect that result today. I'm not going to hide behind that, and that's on me as the leader. We've got a 20-player squad and they're really, really disappointed and stuff, and we didn't expect that today. But yeah, we'll have to review it and see where we go from here.
Will you consider NRLW players in the English heritage before the World Cup or for the World Cup?
It'll be something that we'll reflect on after this tournament. Again, like I say, we didn't really know where we were at as a group until you play this opposition. We can watch all the video and admire the NRLW from afar like we do, but until you actually get on a field and see what's coming at us, it was hard. But yes, there is. I've been contacted by several agents regarding heritage players, and it's something that we'll look at. But we are trying to develop our domestic game as well at the same time. So.
Did you say no to those players?
Sorry?
Did you just say no to those players?
I didn't say no at all. No, I just said it'll be something that we'll be reviewing before the World Cup.
Is the key actually to go the other way and try to get girls into the NRLW?
Yes, that would be the ideal thing. I think we've got plenty of players who could go over there and bring back their learnings. You saw Georgia Roach today, Holly May Dodd, and Paige Travis will be joining them this year as well. So that can only make them better. I think the domestic competition, obviously, in Australia is intense, and it brings the best out of people. We're struggling at the moment in our Women's Super League that we probably have 3, maybe 4 teams in a bigger league. So they have lots of weeks where they're not having competitive challenges. So we've got to try and look at our domestic competition as well going forward to see how we create environments like we've just witnessed today on the field.
Is it safe to say that in the 8 years between tests, that's too much time like Indonesia? Did we push to even have like friendly matches, or I don't know?
The more we can play Southern Hemisphere opposition, the better we will get as a nation playing rugby league. It was the shock today for a lot of our girls. I think it was the shock factor. I think it blew them away from the first 5 minutes, and that's because they haven't experienced anything at that intensity in the domestic competition and not in our internationals we previously played. So we tried to tell them that was coming, and we looked at a lot of video and we tried to go through that, and we've tried to replicate the intensity in training and in manufactured Yorkshire Lancashire origins, but until you actually get out there and feel it, and I think it caught us by shock. It caught the players by shock on the field.
So obviously there's a gulf between the two, but do you think the girls, like the occasion, being in Vegas, like that have an impact? Obviously it's different from Wentworth Hall and places like that, but yeah, did you think, is it just the difference in the systems?
I'm not going to hide behind the fact that there was a big difference between the two teams in quality-wise, but I will say our girls aren't used to occasions like that, and more so the noise in the stadium. I don't think they've ever had to deal with that on a rugby field before, and I think when we were desperate for our communication along the line defensively to help each other, I think there was a little bit of, the noise was in effect, and that's something we've got to learn from, because as the women's game grows and grows, when we go to World Cups, we're expecting and we're hoping to play in front of crowds of that size. So, but like I say, I think there was a little bit of a shock factor when we went out there today with the occasion.
How many training sessions did you actually get over there? Because you guys didn't arrive till Thursday? Or?
No, we arrived late Tuesday night, so we trained Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which probably isn't ideal preparation. You wouldn't do 3 days on a bounce before a test match. But it was, we did a big session on the Wednesday, and then we've done 2 very, very small sessions Thursday and Friday, just because it was important to try and come together and do some stuff.
So you noticed us, being in the stadium, I couldn't actually see with Vicky how long she was unconscious for and how she was when I don't know if you actually got a chance to see, but when she got back to the sheds.
She's not been back to the sheds, and I haven't seen her personally, so I think she was out for a very short time. She came around and she was complaining of a headache and a sore neck. So the medical staff have took really good care of her, and she's gone straight off to hospital. So we've obviously sent staff members with her, and I haven't had the chance to speak to her as of yet.
In a way, is the hope that the powers that be, that the RFL see this as a line in the sand moment, say this can't happen again?
I hope so. I hope they realise that the only way we're going to get better as a nation is to play more games like this. You know, and I understand if the appetite from the Australians might not be to play us again after that result. It might not be a big enough test for them, but the only way we're going to get better is if we play better opposition. We've had 2 internationals building up to this, and I think the last one we won 82-0, and the one previously was, I don't know, 50-0 or something like that. So we think we're rolling well, and the players think they're rolling well, but obviously until we face the best in the world, which they certainly are, it was, you know, we don't know where we're at.
The NRLW is fairly, or the women's game in general, is fairly well supported by the NRL in Australia. But what's it like for you back there? Is the women's game supported?
It's growing in support, and the clubs, the male Super League clubs, are now embracing it slightly more. But obviously our girls are fully part-time, no finance, they work all day, they raise families, and they train a couple of evenings a week and play at the weekend. So the transition, we've gone from a community game, if you want to call it, to the Women's Super League is still in its infancy, and we're not to the stage where we're looking after the athletes probably as well as we can.
There was supposed to be a women's Ashes at the end of the year. You know what's happening with that?
No, I've got no knowledge of that at the moment. I mean, at the beginning of the year we were told there'd be an Ashes at the end of the year, and I'm hoping there still is an Ashes at the end of the year, but as of yet I have no confirmation on that.
Mate, how tough is it for you as a coach to get around the girls after what they've just been through tonight?
Yeah, really tough. We've just had a little chat in there. You know, we talked about the hurt and the pain, and that we have to use that as a fuel to get better, and we have to look at what we've faced, the people we've just faced, and think, right, how do we get to that level? And we've got to use that, and we can either let today divide us and say we'll never get to that level and go away and not worry about it and just stick to our own little bubble, or we go, do we use this as fuel to get our competition better, to get our girls better, so we can challenge further in the World Cup?
I think you alluded to with Jaleesa's questions about like the support that you guys are getting in terms of, obviously there needs to be a lot of lifting of the game in terms of the support you guys are getting to get to that level. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we need to do is improve our competition and our support around our competition, so that our best players are playing the best players more often. Because at the moment we've got all the England girls there are spread amongst 3 or 4 teams. They play each other twice a year, and then the rest of the competition doesn't enable them to be challenged as much as we would like to challenge them. So I think there has to be a review of where the competition's at, and there has to be a review of how we can support the game more at home.
How do you give a positive message? There were a lot of young women in the crowd tonight, and hopefully some of them were local. How do you get them interested in the game?
Well, I hope they saw the skill that the Jillaroos showed and thought that's really exciting and we want to be part of that, and it's still done its job as a match to sell the sport to young girls out there watching. Obviously for the young girls in England, they should be looking at that and going, right, well, we need to be better than we currently are, and we want to be better than the ones who've just represented tonight in the long term. So you know, our growth in our girls game in our 13s and 14s and 15s over the last couple of years has been huge. So we've got a lot of young players coming through eventually, but we've got to put the systems and the pathways in to make sure that we can develop those.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks
Yeah,
very much.
thanks.